Dessert, the last course of a meal. In the United States, dessert is likely to consist of pastry, cake, ice cream, pudding, or fresh or cooked fruit. British meals traditionally end with nuts, fruits, and port or other dessert wine, while French practice is to end with fruit, cheese, and wine. In both Britain and France, a more elaborate meal would include a sweet course preceding the dessert offerings. In Spain, Portugal, and Latin American countries, desserts of flan, a baked caramel custard, are ubiquitous. Other rich sweets based on eggs, milk, and fruits also are preferred. The elaborate cakes and tarts of Central and Northern Europe make the dessert course a glory of these cuisines. Indian cuisine offers sweet puddings and dense cakes flavored with rosewater, honey, and nuts. In many cuisines, however, there is no usual sweet course, rather, fresh fruit, tea, or coffee constitute the end of the meal. In Japan and China, elaborate confections are usually eaten as snacks rather than as part of a meal. The dessert course reached its zenith in the banquets of the European courts of the 18th and 19th centuries, when the desire for ostentation and artifice coincided with the widespread availability of refined sugar and flour. On tables decorated with flowers and architectural fantasies in sugar and pastry were presented dozens of creams, tarts, fruits, cakes, pastries, puddings, jellies, and meringues. Sweet dessert dishes demand sweet wines. Notable among these are sweet port, sherry, and Madeira, Tokaj Aju of Hungary, Sauternes, Greek Mavrodovny, and German Auslese, Beerenauslese, and Trockenbeerenauslese bottlings. Sweet or dry liqueurs and brandies also are offered at the meal's close. Dessert is a course that concludes a meal. The course consists of sweet foods, such as cake, biscuit, ice cream, and possibly a beverage, such as dessert wine or liqueur. Some cultures sweeten foods that are more commonly savory to create desserts. In some parts of the world, there is no tradition of a dessert course to conclude a meal. Historically, the dessert course consisted entirely of foods from the storeroom, to office, including fresh, stewed, preserved, and dried fruits, nuts, cheese and other dairy dishes, dry biscuits, cookies, and wafers, and ices and ice creams. Sweet dishes from the kitchen, such as freshly prepared pastries, meringues, custards, puddings, and baked fruits, were served in the entremets course, not in the dessert course. By the 20th century, though, sweet entremets had come to be included among the desserts. The modern term dessert can apply to many sweets, including fruit, custards, gelatins, puddings, biscuits, cookies, macaroons, pastries, pies, tarts, cakes, ice creams, and sweet soups. Sweets were fed to the gods in ancient Mesopotamia and ancient India and other ancient civilizations. Herodotus mentions that Persian meals featured many desserts, and were more varied in their sweet offerings than the main dishes. German army officer Helmuth von Moltke, whilst serving in the Ottoman Empire, noted the unusual presentation of courses, with the sweet courses served between roasts and other savory dishes. Dried fruit and honey were probably the first sweeteners used in most of the world, but the spread of sugar cane around the world was essential to the development of dessert. Sugar cane was grown and refined in India before 500 BC and was crystallized, making it easy to transport, by AD 500. Sugar and sugar cane were traded, making sugar available to Macedonia by 303 BC and China by AD 600. In the Indian subcontinent, the Middle East, and China, sugar has been a staple of cooking and desserts for over 1,000 years. Sugar cane and sugar were little known and rare in Europe until the 12th century or later, when the Crusades and then colonization spread its use. Europeans began to manufacture sugar in the Middle Ages, and more sweet desserts became available. Even then, sugar was so expensive usually only the wealthy could indulge on special occasions. The first apple pie recipe was published in 1381, the earliest documentation of the term cupcake was in 75 receipts for pastry, cakes, and sweetmeats in 1828 in Eliza Leslie's Receipts Cookbook. The Industrial Revolution in Europe and later America led to the mass production of foodstuffs, including desserts, that could be processed, preserved, canned, and packaged. Frozen foods, including desserts, became very popular starting in the 1920s. Ingredients. Sweet desserts usually contain cane sugar, palm sugar, brown sugar, honey, or some types of syrup such as molasses, maple syrup, treacle, or corn syrup. Other common ingredients in Western-style desserts are flour or other starches, cooking fats such as butter or lard, dairy, eggs, salt, acidic ingredients such as lemon juice, and spices, and other flavoring agents such as chocolate, coffee, peanut butter, fruits, and nuts. The proportions of these ingredients, along with the preparation methods, play a major part in the consistency, texture, and flavor of the end product. Sugars contribute moisture and tenderness to baked goods. Flour or starch components serves as a protein and gives the dessert structure. Fats contribute moisture and can enable the development of flaky layers in pastries and pie crusts. The dairy products in baked goods keep the desserts moist. Many desserts also contain eggs, in order to form custard or to aid in the rising and thickening of a cake-like substance. Egg yolks specifically contribute to the richness of desserts. Egg whites can act as a leavening agent or provide structure. Further innovation in the healthy eating movement has led to more information being available about vegan and gluten-free substitutes for the standard ingredients, as well as replacements for refined sugar. Desserts can contain many spices and extracts to add a variety of flavors. Salt and acids are added to desserts to balance sweet flavors and create a contrast in flavors. Some desserts are coffee-flavored, for example an iced coffee souffle or coffee biscuits. Alcohols and liqueurs can also be used as an ingredient, to make alcoholic desserts. Varieties and elements. Desserts consist of variations of tastes, textures, and appearances. Desserts can be defined as a usually sweeter course that concludes a meal. This definition includes a range of courses ranging from fruits or dried nuts to multi-ingredient cakes and pies. Many cultures have different variations of dessert. In modern times, the variations of desserts have usually been passed down or come from geographical regions. This is one cause for the variation of desserts. These are some major categories in which desserts can be placed. Cakes are sweet tender breads made with sugar and delicate flour. Cakes can vary from light, airy sponge cakes to dense cakes with less flour. Common flavorings include dried, candied, or fresh fruit, nuts, cocoa or extracts. They may be filled with fruit preserves or dessert sauces, like pastry cream, iced with buttercream or other icings, and decorated with marzipan, piped borders, or candied fruit. Cake is often served as a celebratory dish on ceremonial occasions, for example weddings, anniversaries, and birthdays. Small-sized cakes have become popular, in the form of cupcakes and petits fours, an example of which can be the Portuguese bolo de arroz. Puddings are similar to custards in that their base is cream or milk. However, their primary difference is that puddings are thickened with starches such as cornstarch or tapioca. On the other hand, custards are thickened using only eggs and are usually more firm. Biscuits or cookies are small discs of sweetened dough, similar in composition to a cake. The term biscuit is a derivation of Latin for twice baked, while the term cookie is a Dutch diminutive for koek, meaning cake. Some examples of this dessert include a ginger nut, shortbread biscuit, and chocolate chip cookie. In Commonwealth English, the term biscuit refers to this type of dessert in general, with cookie reserved for a specific type of drop cookie. In North America, the term cookie typically refers to all forms of this dessert, with biscuit more commonly referring to a type of bread. Other small cakes and pastries can also be counted as under these terms, due to their size and relative similarity to cookies and biscuits, such as Jaffa cakes and Ecclesiastes cakes. Confection, also called candy, sweets, or lollies, features sugar or honey as a principal ingredient. Many involve sugar heated into crystals with subtle differences. Dairy and sugar-based include caramel, fudge and toffee or taffy. There are multiple forms of egg and sugar meringues and similar confections. Unheated sugar dissolves into icings, preservatives, and sauces with other ingredients. Theobroma cacao beans are commonly mixed with sugar to form chocolate. Pure, unsweetened dark chocolate contains primarily cocoa solids. Cocoa butter is also added in varying proportions. Much of the chocolate currently consumed is in the form of sweet chocolate, combining chocolate with sugar. Milk chocolate is sweet chocolate that additionally contains milk powder or condensed milk. White chocolate contains cocoa butter, sugar, and milk, but no cocoa solids. Dark chocolate is produced by adding fat and sugar to the cacao mixture, with no milk or much less than milk chocolate. Mithai, derived from the Sanskrit word sharkara, represents the range of Indian desserts. Furni and kheer are two of the most popular puddings in the Indian subcontinent. These kinds of desserts usually include a thickened dairy base. Custards are cooked and thickened with eggs. Baked custards include cream brulee and flan. They are often used as ingredients in other desserts, for instance as a filling for pastries or pies. Many cuisines include a dessert made of deep-fried starch-based batter or dough. In many countries, a donut is a flour-based batter that has been deep-fried. It is sometimes filled with custard or jelly. Fritters are fruit pieces in a thick batter that have been deep-fried. Gulab jamun is an Indian dessert made of milk solids kneaded into a dough, deep-fried, and soaked in honey. Chos are a deep-fried and sugared dough that is eaten as dessert or a snack in many countries. Ice cream, gelato, sorbet and shaved ice desserts fit into this category. Ice cream is a cream base that is churned as it is frozen to create a creamy consistency. Gelato uses a milk base and has less air whipped in than ice cream, making it denser. Sorbet is made from churned fruit and is not dairy-based. Shaved ice desserts are made by shaving a block of ice and adding flavored syrup or juice to the ice shavings. Jellied desserts are made with a sweetened liquid thickened with gelatin or another gelling agent. They are traditional in many cultures. Yokon is a Japanese jellied dessert. In English-speaking countries, many dessert recipes are based on gelatin with fruit or whipped cream added. The vegetarian substitute for gelatin is agar-agar. Marshmallow is also most commonly made with gelatin. Pastries are sweet-baked pastry products. Pastries can either take the form of light and flaky bread with an airy texture, such as a croissant, or unleavened dough with a high fat content and crispy texture, such as shortbread. Pastries are often flavored or filled with fruits, chocolate, nuts, and spices. Pastries are sometimes eaten with tea or coffee as a breakfast food. Pies and cobblers consist of a filling enclosed by a crust, which can be made from either pastry or crumbs. The fillings of pies can vary from fruits to puddings, whereas cobbler fillings are mostly fruit-based. On the other hand, clafoutis is a dessert in which batter is poured over a fruit-based filling before being baked. Tong sui, literally translated as sugar water and also known as tim tong, is a collective term for any sweet, warm soup or custard served as a dessert at the end of a meal in Cantonese cuisine. Tong sui are a Cantonese specialty and are rarely found in other regional cuisines of China. Outside of Cantonese-speaking communities, soupy desserts generally are not recognized as a distinct category, and the term tong sui is not used. Dessert wines are sweet wines typically served with dessert. There is no simple definition of a dessert wine. In the UK, a dessert wine is considered to be any sweet wine drunk with a meal, as opposed to the white fortified wines, Fino and Amontillado sherry, drunk before the meal, and the red fortified wines, port and Madeira, drunk after it. Thus, most fortified wines are regarded as distinct from dessert wines, but some of the less strong fortified white wines, such as Pedro Ximénez sherry and Muscat de Beaumes de Venise, are regarded as honorary dessert wines. In the United States, by contrast, a dessert wine is legally defined as any wine over 14% alcohol by volume, which includes all fortified wines, and is taxed at higher rates as a result. Examples include Sauternes and Tokaji Aju. The market for desserts has grown over the last few decades, being greatly increased by the commercialization of baking desserts and the rise of food productions. Desserts are served in most restaurants as their popularity has increased. Many commercial stores have been established as solely dessert stores. Ice cream parlors have been around since before 1800. Many businesses have started advertising campaigns focusing solely on desserts. The tactics used to market desserts are very different depending on the audience. For example, desserts can be advertised with popular movie characters to target children. The rise of companies such as Food Network has produced many shows which feature desserts and their creation. Shows like these have displayed extreme desserts and made a game show atmosphere to make desserts a more competitive field. Desserts are a standard staple in restaurant menus, with different degrees of variety. Pie and cheesecake were among the most popular dessert courses ordered in U.S. restaurants in 2012. Dessert foods often contain relatively high amounts of sugar and fats and, as a result, higher calorie counts per gram than other foods. Fresh or cooked fruit with minimal added sugar or fat is an exception. Thank you for watching this video.